everybody's committing all them 10th graders. I'm going to get all them seniors that develop. So 2.5 weeks, I had never heard. I knew Trayvon Mullen. I'd never met him, but I knew who he was. He'd been a guy on our board. And I wasn't sure we were going to have a spot. And so, man, all of a sudden we got a spot for Trayvon Mullen. Well, we get him. He plays for the Raiders now. Started as a rookie this year. Was a great player for us. So Brent comes to me and he says, hey, I got a kid. Let's look at this guy. Because let's check it. So, all right, well, there's a whole process we have to go through. You can't just being a good player is like the smallest box to check for us. And we find this kid in Olathe, Kansas, kind of a gangly-looking dude named Isaiah Simmons, who played wide out, safety, and just kind of roamed around, 3 deep, run around. And so Brent's like, I'm gonna go check him out. And so he had one visit left. So we liked him. I went out and met with his family. He came in on his visit. He came to Clemson. Literally, I didn't know who he was 2 weeks before. Then midweek visit, the week before signing day, midweek visit, this guy, Brent, calls me and he goes, hey, there's this kid, I just found him. I want to bring him in this week. He's from Virginia. His name's Kayvon Wallace. He's a late bloomer, but he can do a lot of things. And I'm like, all right, well, let's bring him in. So checked out all of his stuff, grades, you know. So Kayvon Wallace comes in. We get Kayvon Wallace. All right, and so then I'm looking for another guy, and I had offered Nolan a walk-on spot the spring before, but I had not watched one play of his senior year. I had not one play, and I was like, you know, just something. I just put it on my spirit, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pull up Nolan. So I pulled up his huddle highlights, and I watched him, and I was like, I mean, I'm trying not to be biased. And I'm watching his tape, and I mean, he plays wide. I just watched Kayvon. I just watched Isaiah. And I'm watching this kid, and he's dominating at receiver and at DB. And you got to understand my connection, because I grew up in Pelham, and Vestavia was one of our rivals. And Buddy Anderson has been the head coach there for 50-something years. He was the head coach when I was playing. So I've known Buddy Anderson forever. And Vestavia High School has put out hundreds of Division I football players. All right, and so I played with some of them in Alabama. And so I called, after I watched it, I called Buddy Anderson and I said, Coach, I want to ask you something. He had no idea why I was calling. I said, why is nobody recruiting Nolan Turner? And he just kind of, it was like I went, it just, you know, burst the bubble. And he was frustrated about it. And he said, Coach, I can't understand it. He's as good a player as I've had in my 50 years here. He said the kid can run. His best football's in front of him. He's a late bloomer, just like his dad was. And so I had all this working knowledge. And I played with KT, and KT was a late bloomer. And so I took the tape down there and pulled it up down there with Brent. And I said, hey, I want you to tell me what you think about this kid. And so Brent watched him, and he's like, I love this guy. Where is he? You know, that's how Brent is. And I'm like, that's all I need to know. And so then I made a call. And I said, hey, I'm coming to see Nolan tomorrow. And so it was a pretty special moment. And so that's what I mean. When I say God worked it out, that just happened. It wasn't some charity thing. You know, some of these storylines that people put out there that, you know, Coach Sweeney did this because of his buddy. That all sounds good, but that's not reality. If I didn't have a spot, he wouldn't have got a scholarship. We had 4 guys leave, and we were looking for people, and he earned it. And then he's coming here, and he's and I told him early on. I said, man, let me tell you. Here's what the story. Early on, you're not good enough. You shouldn't be here. We only signed you because coach is friends with your daddy, whatever. I was like, man, you're gonna have some thick skin to rise above that. I'm telling you, you can play, and you're gonna be a great player. And I talked to him. I'm thankful that I have lots of examples like that. Guys that have come through our